Michelle here from Strawberry, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little peasant dress that you can send in your Operation Christmas child boxes. You can make for a little girl that you know, or maybe even Project Dress a Girl. This dress has a pocket, it has coordinating sleeves, a little sash around the waist, a little ruffle at the bottom, and I just think it's quite adorable, and it was made out of sheets that I got from the thrift store. Today I'm making a peasant dress in size 8, and I got the pattern free online from Scattered Thoughts of a Crafty Mom, and I have used it many times, as you can see by how wrinkled and stuff that it is. And here's the sleeve. One of the reasons why I like this pattern is because you don't have to worry about like using bias tape to trim off the neckline and everything, or the underarms. It's super easy to do, and I feel like it's a little bit more modest since it has sleeves. Have y'all met mozzarella? This is mozzarella. And since I'm on the floor, she's on the floor. Get off, get off. Okay. I found this fabric actually at a thrift store. It is a sheet, and I don't know if you can see the colors. It's got stripes and dots, and it's teals and greens, and it's just really pretty, and it was a top sheet. So here's the thing. Bottom sheets, fitted sheets, those get worn out pretty easily and pretty quickly. You don't want to buy those from a thrift store. But top sheets are hardly ever used. I know my own kids, we stopped even putting top sheets on their beds because they'd always just like kick them down to their feet and wouldn't use them, and they just use their comforters. So top sheets at a thrift store are usually brand new. And I'm going to pair it with this fabric that I bought at a quilting yard sale, and it actually, I don't know if you can tell, oh, maybe it's only on one side. It has 2 tones of colors, these little stripes in it. At first I thought, oh, it got sun faded, but the stripes are even throughout the entire fabric, so I think it was actually made that way. And so I thought these two looked really nice together, so they're gonna coordinate. I have more of this, so this is gonna be the main dress, and this is going to be a ruffle at the bottom, the sleeves, and a pocket, just for a little bit of contrast. Now, why am I sitting on the floor, you ask? Because years ago, I bought a cutting mat that is huge. Let's see, 33 inches by 58 inches. And this is where I do my cutting because I don't have a table big enough to put my cutting mat on. I bought it at an estate sale, and I think I actually bought it for my mom, and it was one of those things, she had it for a long time and then she didn't really have a place to store it. So she stored it at my house, and I started using it a lot more, and it is like, it was a great purchase. I didn't spend very much for it at this estate sale, so I don't know how much they cost in real life, but for me, this is amazing. So I'm gonna fold my striped fabric here, and since it's got stripes, I can actually see if my fold is straight. And I'm gonna lay my pattern down. So my pattern does say this is both the front and the back. This is both the front and the back, and you put it on the fold. So I'm gonna put it on the fold here. Oh, I can't do that. See how much fabric I'm gonna waste? I can't. I like to be frugal with everything. So I'm gonna refold so that I don't have a ton of waste, and I'll be able to use this fabric for other things as well. Let's see. Does that work better? So, yes, that's like perfect. Okay, so I'm putting that down. Lined up on the fold, and I'm gonna use my fancy weights. Got coasters and candle holders. I don't like to pin things. That takes too long. It's too much work. So
Interesting question.
Now I'm going to take my rotary cutter, and I can't remember if this one has seam allowance in it or not. I usually cut a little bit larger. I have this for a size 8, so if I cut a little bit larger, then it could be more like a size 9 or 10 for a girl. So I'm just gonna cut next to my pattern, trying to keep the same distance away. And this way I don't dull my blade by cutting paper either. And I just wanna make sure that, yes, I'm cutting. Okay. See how easy it is to cut with the big mat and the rotary cutter? Now, if you can't get down on the floor like this, I guess that might be a problem. But if you have a big table, you can do that. Now, because I'm going to put a ruffle at the bottom, I actually don't want to cut it off at the length that they have. I want to kind of fold this up a little bit, cutting it out. And one piece is done. And now I'm going to do the same with the front. So on the pattern, it has 2 lines here. It has a back line and it has a front line. So really, I just kind of move this out of the way and I estimate where that other line is going to be to do my front. I'm going to do the same thing with my sleeve pattern. Just fold it, lay it out, cut it with my rotary cutter. My ruffle. So I'm not even sure. Let's measure. The bottom of this pattern piece is 11 inches. So times 4, that would be 44 inches. So I really want to have a ruffle that's going to be twice as big as that. So around 88 inches or whatever I happen to have fabric for. So I'm going to look at my fabric. This is a highly scientific way to do this because, you know, that's how I am. So my mat is 58 inches and it goes over a couple inches on the mat, that side and this side. It does not look like my edge is even here. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is clean up my edge. Just cut a slit. Now with hem allowance and seam allowance, I think I'm gonna cut this. I want about a 3-inch ruffle, maybe 4. So I think I'm gonna cut it at 5.5. And by cut, I mean rip. Because it's fast and it's easy. You're gonna sew all these edges anyway. All right, I am done cutting out my dress. I'm gonna iron my pieces and then I'm gonna put it all together. It is a new day and I'm ready to start sewing the pieces together. So this is the front of my dress and this is one of my sleeves, and I wanted to put right sides together, and I want to take the armhole and match it up with the armhole, and you can pin these together. I just opened that upside down. You can clip them. So I'm just going to clip them. And so that's one sleeve on one side of the front. Then I take the other sleeve and I'm going to do the same thing, right sides together, and I'm going to line it up. Now I'm going to sew just right along here on this one and right along here on this one. Then I'm going to grab the back piece and do the same thing with the armhole parts of the sleeves. Back stitch to lock it in place. And do the same on the other side. So this is my front piece with my sleeves. And now I'm going to take my back piece and I'm going to find the front side of my fabric. And I'm going to sew or clip these first. And if you unfold it, this is what it kind of looks like. That would be the outside part of the dress. So now I attach the sleeves to the back panel. Now I think I'm going to go to my serger and I'm going to serge this seam so that it's got a nice finish to it. This is what I have. This is what it looks like. We've got our front and our back and our two sleeves all attached in this circle. On the back side, you can see the seams and that I have finished the edges by serging. Now what we're going to do is we are going to attach the front to the back. So you want to do this one right sides together so that it's inside out. And gonna make sure that everything is lined up on the side of my dress. I'm gonna put some clips on here. Again, you could use pins if you prefer pins. I bought these clips on Amazon. My mother uses them for quilting, and I hate pins, so I bought some for myself, and I really like them. And you're going to line up the sleeves so that it's even where they come together here. And now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew from the bottom of the sleeve all the way to the bottom of the dress, and I will do that on both sides using about 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to throw this in my serger and clean finish those edges. At this point, honestly, your dress is almost finished. You have, if I turn it right side out, you have what looks like a dress. There's just a few steps left, and that is going to be to put elastic, to make a casing, and to put elastic all the way along the top. To finish the sleeves, you could do that with elastic or by just hemming them, either way. And then the bottom. So you could hem it if you made it long enough, but I purposely knew that I wanted to put a ruffle on the bottom of mine, so that's what I'm planning to do. I went ahead and serged the edge of my neck opening. I didn't show it on camera because my serger shakes my camera too much. You could iron this 1/4 of the way down, and then iron it 1/2 inch down, and that would clean finish the edge as well. So I have this inside out, and I am just going to use my little trusty ruler here. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3/4 of an inch. and I'm just gonna iron that down at 3/4 of an inch. And I'm gonna do that all the way around my neck opening, which includes the arms. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to sew about 1/4 inch from the edge so that I'll have plenty of room to put my elastic. And the instructions online with the pattern are really good, written out instructions, and they'll tell you how much elastic to use and everything. In the back, you want to leave a little opening so that you can thread your elastic through. I'm coming around to the back again. So you might want to actually just like put a pin about 1.5 inches away from where you started to remind yourself that that's where you need to stop sewing. Now I have a safety pin, and I'm going to put it on my elastic, and I'm going to start feeding my elastic through this casing. Being careful not to lose the elastic on the other side. That would be bad. And there's my safety pin. So I've made it through to the other side. And what I usually do is, instead of sewing this elastic together, I usually just tie it together. And I don't know, I figured that that might be a little easier if someone who gets it needs to adjust the size of the elastic a little bit. They'll be able to, because it's not sewn. So just tie it together. And now I can stretch this out so that it all looks good. There we go. I'm going to sew up this last little part, and while I sew it, I'm going to add in a little tag that I had made. I got these actually off of Amazon. Isn't that where we get everything? That says Straw-Bearie. And I'm just going to add that, sew that into the seam as I sew this. Next, I'm going to need to hem the sleeves, or put elastic in the sleeves, put a ruffle on the bottom, and I'm going to add a pocket. But I think I'm going to take a break for today. It's a beautiful day outside, and I think I need to go out and get some sunshine and take my dog for a walk. So maybe I will come back to this tomorrow, hopefully, or next week, or who knows, but you won't know because you're watching this all in one video. I know it hasn't been for you, but for me, it's been a really long time since I've worked on this video. And I have my serger set up, and I have this long piece of fabric that's going to be a ruffle at the bottom of the dress, and I'm going to do a rolled hem. And I have to consult a video on how to do this every time I set it up. But basically, it's 3 threads, and it's going to go off the edge. And let's see if I remember how to do this. It does seem to be working. If you're making this dress and you don't have a serger, you definitely don't have to do the rolled hem. You could just do a regular hem, but I like doing it before I sew it on. I just find it easier to do. So you could take it and fold it over like 1/4 inch, and then fold it over a second time and sew that down. Can you see how that looks? That's what the rolled hem is. It's a finished edge that can be shown, and this is going to be the bottom edge of my dress. I went ahead and just did a regular serged edge on this side just to finish it up. And now I'm going to do a basting stitch so that I can create the ruffle. And you can do this, of course, you can actually do it on the serger and attach it to the other piece all at the same time. But I don't know how, I'm not good at measuring how much fabric that's going to take. So this is just going to be easier to me. So a basting stitch, it's just a really wide stitch, adding my length, stitch length, to a really long stitch length. And I'm going to do this on the top part of the ruffle. And I'm not going to back stitch, and I'm just going to do a straight stitch all the way down. I'm going to leave some length here. And now I'm going to pull the bottom one. And it's gonna start to ruffle up. So you have to be careful not to break your thread when you do this. You've got to kind of move the ruffles down and keep pulling. It's a little bit of a tedious project. I serged the edge of the sleeves, and now I'm just gonna fold those under. And I have an option here. I could fold them under and just sew them down and hem them, or I could fold them under and put a little bit of elastic in the sleeves. That would give them kind of a poofy sleeve look. I think I might do that. That sounds like a fun thing to do. Leaving myself just about an inch, half an inch gap there. And I will do the same thing on the other. No idea what size elastic to use here. My mannequins don't have arms, and I don't have a little girl to measure. So I think what I'm gonna do is that's the length of the whole arm, and I'm going to just cut it a couple inches shorter. And let me do two so they're the same length. Going to take a safety pin and put it in my elastic. And I'm going to thread this through the little hole that I left. Make sure that you don't lose the end of your elastic as you're doing this. I think I'm actually just going to tie this piece of elastic together. And I'm going to leave my little hole so that if they need to adjust it, they have that ability to adjust it. It will be very simple to do. And I'll do the same on the other side. Now I'm going to give this little girl's dress a pocket, because everybody needs a pocket. So what I've done is I've just taken a piece of fabric and I've folded down and sewn down all of the edges, and now I'm just going to sew it around the three sides right here on the dress. If I can figure out how to get it in my machine. And we're done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, toodles!